The next synaptic connection that we're going to draw is going to be a little more morphologically accurate, and you're actually going to draw the synaptic bouton, maybe a couple synaptic vesicles, and so I'm gonna show you how to draw this here. Okay, so first we're gonna focus on drawing the bouton. Okay, so let's move down here, and for starters, we'll draw the shaft. So we'll click on the rectangle button. If you don't see it, click and hold and click over to the rectangle. Then you're going to click and hold and drag it down, mouse down till you get about the size that you want, and release. Next thing we need to do is to build the synaptic cleft, this portion right here. And I found the easiest way to do that is to use an ellipse. So we're going to go over to ellipse tool, and we're going to draw an ellipse about like that. Now I'm going to use the selection tool to highlight both objects, and I'm going to use the alignment and do a horizontal alignment center. Okay, so now we need to connect these objects together. First we need to cut them so that we can join the paths together. So I'm going to highlight this rectangle up here, and then go down to the scissors. If you don't see it, click and hold. You might see the eraser button, so click and hold and go down to the scissors. Put your cursor over the anchor so that the word anchor pops up, and click there. Do the same thing over here, and then now you're going to go down to the ellipse and click on that anchor and click on that anchor. And what that does is that cuts the path at that position. So I can now select this one path here, press delete, select this one path here, press delete. And then I'm going to connect these with lines. I'm going to highlight the two objects and then use the pen tool to do that. So I'm going to click on this anchor and then click on this anchor. Now I'm going to click on that one and go down there and click that one. So now you see the start of the synaptic bouton. So I'm going to now go over to the direct selection tool, and I'm going to highlight those 4 anchor points. So you notice that this anchor point is selected, this one's selected. You even see the little circles that you can add curvature if you want, but we're going to add curvature another way. So anyways, I've selected these 4 anchor points. These are not selected. This one's not selected. Just these 4 are selected. I'm going to convert these to smooth. Okay. And then now I'm going to click on this anchor point, and I want to make these handles. So these are the handles that control how the anchor is positioned, the tangential line of that curve. And I'm going to select one of those handles, and then I'm going to hold the shift key and then move it over so that that handle is in line with that rectangle that we drew earlier. Same thing over here. I'm going to click on this anchor, and again I'm in the direct selection tool to do that. So now I click on that anchor, and then now the handle, then hold the shift key and then do the same thing there. Then I want to bring this handle down just a little bit, and then I'm going to do the same thing over here, bring that handle down just a little bit. Remember to hold the shift key. Okay. And then now I'm going to click over to this anchor point, and I'm going to just modify this handle, and then I want to drag it up. Now if you don't see a handle here, that's because you didn't select it on the previous step, and that's okay. Just go over, and when you select on that anchor point, click this convert anchor corner to smooth. Then you'll see that anchor show up, and then you can modify it. So now I'm going to click on this anchor, and then you notice that I have this handle. Now again, hold the shift key and then drag it up. So now you see, what looks like a synaptic bouton. Okay, so let's draw the 2 circles. I'm going to drag this down a little bit, and then I'm going to draw another circle, maybe a slightly bigger one than we did over here. And then I'm going to copy that. So I'm going to select on this object and copy that, move it down there. Okay, let me center all these objects together. Okay, now I'm going to highlight these 2 objects. I want to make this continuous, so I use the shape builder tool over here. If you don't see it, click and hold. You might have a live paint bucket or something, but click over to the shape builder tool, and after you've had this selected, you'll notice that whenever you move over, you'll see a whole bunch of dotted lines that show up. So you're going to click up here and then drag it down, and that makes this continuous. Okay. And then you go back to the direct selection tool. Now you have that synaptic connection. And you might say, oh, well, you know, I kind of want to bring this up a little bit. That's okay. You can just click on that and then bring it up a little bit to make it more of a flat, or keep it down that way. Either way you want. Now I want to add the little synaptic vesicles. Those are quite easy. You just click on the ellipse tool, click the shift button, and then the left mouse button, and drag. There's another synaptic vesicle. I want them to be the same size, so I use the direct selection tool. I'm going to zoom in, and then I'm going to hold the Alt key, and then drag, and hold the Alt key, and then drag, and then release the mouse button. And then now I have synaptic vesicles. And of course I can color this, and you know, make it I don't know, some color. Yeah, that looks nice. I want to click on these synaptic vesicles. You can make them either white, or I'd probably prefer, you know, maybe a lighter color. So you can go over here to, so I click on the color that, the same color that's the neuron is. Then I'm going to go over here to this color guide tool. Now if you don't see this window show up, then you can go up to window and then go down to color guide, and then that's going to pop up a window. You can drag it over and then add it to this window. So I'm going to click on this color guide, and that gives you some suggestions of different hues or shades of that same color. So you can click maybe a lighter color so that it stands out a little better. So I'm going to click over here, and there's your synaptic vesicles. So I think I did have white up there, but I don't know, I kind of like the lighter color rather than the light. Now you can go a little further. So that's showing what I drew up there. Now you can go a little further and add a little more 3D effect to it. Okay. So the next section we'll talk about how to add that 3D effect. Okay, so now we're going to add a little bit of a 3D perspective to the coloring of this object. So I'm going to select this, I'm going to hold the Alt key, and I'm going to drag it over. And then we're going to add some 3D shading to it. So I'm going to click on this object, and I'm going to go over here to Appearance and click that. I'm sorry, I would go over here to Gradient and click that, and then click this Freeform Gradient tool, and then I can add points along this to add the gradient. So down here I might want this to show, that color to show. Okay, and then up here I'm going to press the Escape button to modify, because I'm in the linear portion, so the lines portion, so I have to press the Escape to get out of the line drawing. We'll show what that looks like in a little bit. So now I want to click over to this object. I'm going to double click on it, and then I'm going to click let's actually click back on that, but we're going to go over here to the color guide, and we're going to pick a lighter hue. Okay, I'm going to move this over to there. Okay, now I'm going to press the Escape button, and I'm going to click over here, and now I'm going to double click on that and click this color here, which is the same color as shown over here. Okay, now I want to click there, click there, and click there. Okay, press Escape button, and then I want to click up here. And the default's going to be white, so I don't want it to be exactly white. I want to be an off-white. Okay, now press the Escape button. Now I'm going to click on this object, and then I'm going to click over here. So it's going to draw a line or a gradient line over here. Press Escape. And then you can independently, move these around to, make it exactly look like you want. But press Escape, press the direct selection tool to kind of get out of it. And there, that gives you a little bit of appearance. And you can add more detail. You can draw a line on this side to make this look a little more cylindrical, but you get kind of the idea. Now on the postsynaptic side, to make that look maybe spherical, you can do something that's a little easier. Go over to Gradient, click Radial Gradient, okay, and then you can go over here, double click on that, press white, okay, then go over here and double click. So to delete, so I just accidentally added a point on this gradient line. I want to delete it, so I can click and drag it away. So I want to click on this. Now I want to, and I'm going to double click on that. What you might have seen whenever you clicked on the edit gradient, you might have seen it go from white to black. And also make sure that you select it on the fill and not the outline. Almost every single time when I do this, it thinks that I want to modify the outline, and I add a gradient to the outline or the stroke, and I certainly didn't want to do that. So just be sure to click on this fill so that it adds the fill. Okay, so I want to double click on this, and one thing to notice is that these points along the gradient line not only have a color feature, but they have an opacity feature. Right now it's set at 0%. Yours will probably be set at 100%. So there's that. Okay, now let's click on that color. Let's make it the color we want. So right there, and you can see already it's it has that 3D appearance to it. But maybe we want the light source to appear as if it's coming over to the top right, or from the top right. So to do that, make sure you're on the radial gradient, which is in the center, and then go down here to edit gradient, click on that, and you'll see another tool that pops up on the object. What this says is the gradient goes from this point and it radiates out this direction, and it goes as far as this dotted line. Okay. Now you can move this gradient by clicking on this line, this white line here. Click and drag, and then move it up to the top. Okay, so that puts it right up on the top. And then you press escape, you press the direct selection tool. Sorry, don't click away, because notice how it makes that gradient look really strange. Don't do that. Control Z to undo what I just did. And then you can go to the direct selection tool and then click away. So now you have kind of a 3D appearing or looking synaptic connection between two neurons.